Oh, what's good? What's good? What's good, Panther Nation? Welcome back to Two Fans in the Stands, live and in living color. I am your favorite couch scout extraordinaire, Tony,
And I'm your favorite armchair GM, CJ.
and today we are going to discuss a wide range of topics. Well, listen, we're gonna kick it off with this first segment, something I came up with today, and I thought it was fitting. So I'm gonna call this segment "Hot Topic." All right, and
Original.
this Yeah, the hot topic is Scott Fitterer on the hot seat. Now I
Okay.
posed that question, I asked that question because that seems to be the topic on Twitter this week. You know, he had a press conference and he made a comment about the Matt Rule era one night. He was asked, have they moved on from the Matt Rule era of draft picks? And
Mhm.
I got a small clip here that I want to play, and this is what he had to say.
Well, speaking of kind of moving on to change schemes and so on, it seems like you've moved on from a number of Matt Rule era draft picks. Is that fair?
There are draft picks. We're all in this together. The thing, we're not going to focus
My
on who was
bad.
drafted, how they got here. It's all about who can help us right now. But everyone that's in the building, and it's unfair to Matt to say that. So we all own that.
Okay.
So CJ, my question to you would be is, do you think Scott Fitter was truthful in his response to the reporter?
Well, yeah, I think he's about truthful as he could be. They were they were their draft pick. You know what I mean?
Right,
And
right,
now we all know have heard that Matt Rule had the final say, as far as the roster goes. But
right,
yeah, I mean, when we talking about putting, Scott Fitter on the hot seat, he can't be completely absolved from any blame for the picks that they did during when Matt Rule was here. So
right.
he's not completely innocent of all of that just because Matt Rule is gone and he's still here. But I think he was as honest as he could be. So yeah.
Well, okay, so I mean, I get it, and to me, it was admirable that he took that stance. In my heart of hearts, do I really believe that that's how he truly felt? No, and I say that because we all know that everything began and ended with Matt Rule. He let it be known, he was hired before Scott Fitterer, and he played a part in bringing Scott Fitterer on board, right? And it was known that the final decisions would rest with him.
Mhm.
Whether a lot of people agree with it or not, that's how it was. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but when you look at the turmoil that was caused in the organization, the draft picks that made you scratch your head and be like, I
Yeah.
don't know about that one. I definitely don't know about that. Oh, his wife picked that one. I don't think that was a good
True.
look. Like, yeah. So with Chuba, the draft pick of Thomas Fletcher, the long snapper from Alabama. Like there were
I was
draft
stupid.
picks that made you like scratch your head. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
when you look at it, well, when I look at it, I often wonder how much of that did Scott Fitterer have a hand in. You know what I'm saying? Like, was the
Mhm.
conversation really 50-50? Was it really a collaborative, type of thing?
Effort.
Or was
Yeah.
it more just, I'm going to state my piece, but I'm going to go ahead and let Scott, I'm going to go ahead and let Matt Rule, since he is the final say, has the final say, just go ahead and let him do his thing. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I
Yeah.
don't know. I just, that whole situation was kind of suspect to me, and I like you said, I think he answered. I think he answered it the best way that he possibly could. Now,
Yeah.
whether he was really truthful, I don't know. I don't know about
Yeah.
that one.
Well,
I can't agree with that.
Yeah, well, you got to think about it like this. He's a professional, okay? He's up there in a
Right,
billion-dollar organization. Cameras in his face every time he gets to take a breath. So he's got to keep it smooth. He's got to keep it professional. He can't get up there and say exactly what he really feels. I mean, he could. He really could.
right,
There would be a lot of people out here in this world that would be up for it, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, that's Fitty right there. That's my GM." But that's just not how this works. He's gonna get up there, he's gonna take questions, he's gonna give the response to the best of his abilities, and he's gonna keep it pimping. You know what I mean? He's gonna keep
yeah,
it professional, and he's gonna move on. That's just what happens. All we can do is assume. You know, we like I said, Matt Rule had the final say on roster decisions, but in my heart of hearts, I'm kind of with you. you know, was it like 70% Rule, 30% Fitterer? We'll never
right.
know. He'll probably never
That's what
tell
it
us.
feels like.
That's what it kind of feels like. But like I was saying,
Yeah,
he's not completely, not at fault for any of this. But but yeah, I mean, hey, that man said what he got to say, and he's trying to move on. He got he got a team to run. He got more players that he got to evaluate, try to get in here. They said they were still weren't done. I think they're still looking for some more defensive line depth from the interview before this, I believe. But yeah,
right, right.
he trying to run the organization. That man is like, all right, let me answer these questions and get the hell out of here. I got stuff to do. So yeah.
So do you think? I guess the main thing I'm really struggling with is like I'm
Mhm,
trying to understand why do a lot of people feel like he's on a hot seat? Like when you think about it, if you're not the final, if you don't have the final say, right? If you're
mhm,
not the final decision maker, a lot of the responsibility or the majority of responsibility don't rest with you. You know what I
mhm,
mean? Like I
mhm,
don't think you should be held to a no, I don't want to say higher standard, but I don't think that you should be held to the point to where your job is in jeopardy, as some people are saying or suggesting. In my
mhm,
opinion, I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think right now this is like the first year that Scott Fitterer has the opportunity to operate as as a GM. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
I don't think he
Yeah.
has anyone that he has the answer to besides David Tepper. Okay,
True.
so I think there's a lot more collaboration between him and Frank Wright. I think he has a lot more say so than what he did before. So I think with this draft and going forward, I think this will be like the litmus test for him
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
all the decisions that are made, because everything will fall up under him. He will be the ultimate decision maker. You know what I mean?
Everybody's like, "Oh, this is a bad look." We're wasting these draft picks and stuff like that. But I think I got caught up with a lot of Panther Nation in thinking that this wasn't going to be as much of a rebuild as it's turning out to be. Okay.
Right,
I thought we were going to take a lot of the pieces that we already had. We're going to take them, put them in place, and we were going to just kind of not take off and run away with anything, but I kind of
right,
thought that we were going to be a little bit quicker out of the gate, than it seems that we are now. But again, a swift kick in the head always do that to you. It'll bring you back down to earth, and I think that's what a lot of us have kind of had a slight reset. This preseason.
right.
I think we gotta get the expectations back down just a little bit. I still think that this team is still poised to potentially make a run at the division. Now that hasn't
Yeah,
hasn't changed
I
for
agree
me.
with you.
But with the roster, it's like, okay, cool. Well, you know what? If that doesn't happen this year, hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we
yeah, I
we
agree
we
with
we
you.
are rebuilding, to a certain extent, and like Kenneth said, this is just it's a business. Any corporation, you and not saying that it's lessening the worth of any of these guys that were here that are not here now. But you got a new regime coming in, new coach, and new schemes, new ways they want to do stuff. And like they keep saying, people just didn't fit. You know,
Right.
it,
Right.
it, it,
Well,
it it's what it is.
that's what any team. That's what any team that's bringing in new head coach, new offense coordinators, or new defense coordinators, what have you. You want the
Hmm.
players or the type of players that fit your scheme. If if a roster consisted of a lot of players that doesn't match the type of players that you need for your scheme, offensively or defensively, then you're
Hmm.
going to get rid of those players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there is nothing that says that you have to keep the old regime players just because they
Hmm.
drafted them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because what
But
if Frank Wright was in charge of the draft last year? Would those players that got drafted in 2022 even been drafted? Probably
exactly,
not.
probably
You
not.
know. So do
Okay.
you consider him to be on the hot seat? I don't. What would you think?
No, I don't either. And I think a lot of that has been sparked, especially after after the Patriots picked up Matt Corral. And when I tell you I'm so tired of hearing this crap about the Panthers got fleeced and Bill
Oh my
Belichick got
God.
one over with us, keep hearing stuff. Well, what happens is if you trade something to somebody and then they end up with both of them, they got over on you. Well, you know what? In this case, they can have Matt Corral.
Thank you.
I
Thank
don't.
you.
Okay, and I always say this, and when I say this, I'm about to start talking shit about somebody. But no offense to Matt Corral. Okay, no offense to Matt Corral. He
Yeah.
didn't look good before he got hurt last year. He didn't look good this preseason. That one game where he missed about 6 wide open receivers, that was enough for me.
Yeah.
That
In
that
this
was that
last
was enough for
preseason,
me.
yeah, throwing behind the receivers, not putting the ball in the
I
proper place, not stepping into his throws.
Thank
It
you.
was
Thank
like
you, Jay Issue.
more like he was guiding the ball instead of just throwing the ball. They had like Matt came and showed
I
out.
Thank
Exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Thank
I detect
you.
no lies.
If Matt Corral would have came in here and balled out, and I'd be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Let Andy Dalton ass go, and then we'll keep Matt.
Thank
I,
you. And
you
listen,
know,
that's what a lot of us was hoping. That's what a lot of
yeah.
us was hoping. We was like, okay, he's finally healthy, foot
Mm-hmm.
feeling good. He didn't get the opportunity. We kind of we were mad at the old regime because how they used
Mm-hmm.
him in the preseason last year that eventually caused him to get hurt. Now you done had a
Mm-hmm.
whole off season to study, to listen, to get better health wise, and then you
Yep.
come out in this preseason. I mean, there was one drive. I think it was in the last preseason game where he had an okay drive, but
Mm,
overall, on a consistent basis, like bruh, nah.
yeah.
And anybody I tell you something else. Anybody that thinks that he's going to end up going to England and he's going to end up being the backup to Matt Jones over Bailey Zappi, they're crazy for thinking that as well. Okay, they they
I'm gonna
they
have to
really
agree.
are.
I'm
They
gonna
really
have to
are.
agree because to be honest with you, if they would have if they were intent on keeping 3 quarterbacks and they would have claimed Bailey Zappi and let Corral go and he still would have ended up in New England, I would have been happy with that. But I don't think that they are, hell bent on having 3 quarterbacks. And at the same time, that's a roster spot that he's taking up. We can run with 2 quarterbacks. It's
Yeah,
not like it's never been done before. We can run with two
yeah,
quarterbacks, and that's another spot that somebody else can come in and potentially help, our team. I put it like this. The only way New England fleeced us,
right,
in this whole situation is if Matt Corral goes up there, Mac Jones gets hurt, Matt Corral plays, leads them to the Super Bowl, and beats us in the Super Bowl. That
right,
that to me,
right.
and that's just my personal opinion. I know everybody, think differently, but that would be the only way that I think we would have got fleeced. Because if he goes up there and starts and may win a few games, what the hell good is that going to do? The ultimate goal of the NFL is just like any other sport is to win the title. If he goes
Yes,
and
sir.
leads them to a damn in a Super Bowl title, possibly against us, yeah, you know what? Hey, we got fleeced, damn it. But until that happens, I'm not buying it.